Well, today on the Christian Music Guys, we're so excited to welcome back a legend in Christian music. He is the most awarded artist in the genre's history with over 50 dubs, 5 Grammys, and over 50 number ones now in songs that's impacted lives around the world. He's here to celebrate the 25th anniversary of his iconic Speechless album and to share about his brand new Speechless 25th anniversary tour. Please welcome back to the show, Steven Curtis Chapman.
Yay! Thank you. Great to be with you,
man?
Jacob. Good to be back, bud. Thank you.
Yeah. So you posted the other day on socials National Clogging Day. I didn't know that existed, but I saw you tearing it up.
Yeah.
It's hidden talent.
Turns out there is a National Clogging Day, and to be really fair and honest, I didn't know that either until someone alerted me to the fact. It's usually one of those secrets that you try to keep, tucked away in the back corner of the closet, but occasionally it comes to light that I did clog. When I worked at Opryland, it was an amusement park in Nashville. Some people remember it. It closed, gosh, I don't know, now 15, 20 years ago, maybe, sadly, and became a big shopping mall, but it's right beside the Grand Ole Opry. It was built around the Grand Ole Opry building and was just a great amusement park. And I had a job there. My first job, kind of professional music job, was working there singing in a country music show. And that was the first time I got to sing on the Grand Ole Opry, and all of that came as a result. And really me even getting sort of discovered as a songwriter, Christian music and all that, all came from Opryland. But also, lesser known fact than all of those is that I did have to learn to clog if I was going to keep my job there. It was kind of, clog or be fired. And so I told him, look, you don't know what you're dealing with here. I can't dance. I've tried and it just does not happen. And, cause it's clogging, for those that don't know, it's a little bit like tap dancing, some of the same kind of movement. You got to kind of shuffle the feet and the toe and then the heel, and it's got some rhythm to it. It's got some, some stuff going on with the ankles and the toe and the heel.
It's a whole process.
It's a process. And I was like, look, I can't, maybe this kind of thing right here, I can do that. But if you're talking about legs and feet and all that stuff, no way. But they said, we can do it. We can teach you. So, I was determined. And there was, I think in that video, they found a video of me in practice at Opryland. If you watch that little clip, there's a video of me dancing on a TV show that happened years ago, called Crook and Chase. But then there was a quick clip of me at Opryland in my rehearsals, trying to learn how to clog. And, that's where it all started. And so I did learn well enough to not lose my job. So every now and then it pops back up, and I'll get dared to clog a number, stomp a number, as Jed Clampett used to say, stomp a number. And it popped up the other day on National Clogging Day.
Nice. Well, Steven, 25 or so years ago, you released my favorite album of yours, Speechless. So excited that you're doing this now. In all places I will be attending. I actually live in Umatilla, Florida, and that's one of your stops.
No way.
And so, so I'll be there.
That's crazy.
What does this mean to you now, doing this album and doing this tour?
Well, so, the backup, the backstory a bit is, I'm at this point where, gosh, I love playing my music as much. I would venture to say more now than I ever have. There's something so special about those songs that are now ingrained for so many people in their story and their faith journey and their family story and their wedding day and their, child, the kids, their summer camps, or, monumental moments when God really, did something in their lives or in their story, or songs that walked with people through grief and sadness and all of that. So when I get to sing my songs, it's a cool, it's just a great gift to see how they've connected with people and to hear those stories. But as far as touring, I've done solo things more recently, more, stripped back because, for years I did the big band and the tours and all of those things, and so many tours and so much going on now, that I'm kind of like, okay, what's the best use of my gift in this time? And so anyway, always kind of processing that, and not touring as much as I used to, just like, being at home and with my bride, Mary Beth, and grandkids and all the season of life we're in. But I was thinking about the fact that it was 25 years ish of the anniversary of Speechless, which weirdly still feels like a new album ish to me. It's like, how's that 25 years ago? It feels like Dive
Yeah.
is one of my newer songs, compared to The Great Adventure, or,
Sure.
For the
Got
Sake
to
of the
be true.
Call, Got to Be True, Yeah, there you go. Those are like, oh yeah, those are the older songs, but Speechless, that's the new album. 25 years new. So it's all a matter of perspective. But I thought, I've seen some of these tours recently that take an album and do the whole album live. Eagles, Hotel California. Before Huey Lewis wasn't touring anymore, he was one of my favorites back in the day. He did
Mm,
the whole sports record live on
nice.
tour, which was amazing, to go see that and hear those songs that I love so much. And so I kind of thought that would be very cool to do. And then, knowing that I was coming up on 25 years of Speechless a few years ago, I started thinking about it, and my manager mentioned it. Like, what would be cool? You should do that with Speechless. And so I started thinking about it, listening back through the songs, and so many of those songs. That's of all of my albums. That was a time in Christian radio when songs went up the charts very quickly and back down, so you could have several singles off of an album. And so, like, 7 of those songs, were on the radio, and
Yeah.
went up the charts on the radio. So it's like a lot of those songs are people have connected to those, as opposed to maybe 2 songs off of an album or something. And I've done a lot of those songs live over the years. Obviously, Dive, Speechless, Fingerprints of God, Be Still and Know. I mean, some of those songs that have always been a part of my concerts. So that was just kind of a decision to go, what if I put that whole album, I did the whole album on tour, and, put a band, I haven't toured with a full band. And then even so much of that album is orchestra and strings, and a lot of really amazing arrangements of that. So I thought, well, how cool would it be to take a string section out as well? So, I've got a amazing string quartet that I saw, actually, cool enough. I saw them with my son's band, Colony House, playing with them, which is alternative rock and roll,
Yeah.
really cool. They're very, they can play that kind of music, as well as classical music. And I thought, gosh, they would be perfect to do this with. So anyway, God just sort of lined the planets up for me to make this happen, to get to work with some amazing other musicians, and do a short. It's not many dates, so you know coming to Umatilla, that's one of 12, so that's kind of crazy. But we're
Yeah.
planning to maybe carry this on into the spring of next year. Is kind of the thought, but it's, I'm not going to go tour it, 100 concerts or something. So
Yeah.
it's kind of special. It's very, very special, and that album's very special to me, and just in my faith journey, and just it's love that I can recapture not just the songs, but just even at this point in my life, just to continue to return back to God. I want to stay in awe of you, who you are, your grace, your the gospel. Just keep me astonished by that. And so I hope that this tour gives me an opportunity to encourage other people as well with that message.
Yeah. Now, these songs, do they hit different now when you first wrote them 25 years ago? Some of them stand out and mean something different to you, or
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, think of immediately like Fingerprints of God, that song I wrote for Emily when she was 11 years old. She would go on to influence our family to adopt. That story is very much, she was the kind of the person that God used to light that fire in our family about adoption when she was 11, right around the time I wrote that song. Um, to watch how Show Hope is unfolded, to watch how truly the fingerprints of God on her life would begin to shape our lives in such a different way. And now I go back, and she's a mom of 3 girls, one who is well, her daughters now are 13, 11, and 10. So I'm
Wow.
singing the song now to my granddaughters who, look just like Emily. And I watch the unfolding of God's story in her. And Emily's now just an amazing, mom and very involved in the work of Show Hope and advocating for foster care and adoption, and still see all the things I was singing about then when she was a young lady. So that's one example of, these songs that are, yeah, have taken on a whole new life, when I sing the song With Hope, which was written for dear friends of ours who had just lost their daughter. No way would I know that someday, in the years to come, they would be the ones who would come walk with us in the loss of our daughter. And that whole song, song was sung at Maria's memorial, our daughter Maria's memorial. And, so now that song means, you know, even, way more to me. The message of it is so much even more personal than when I wrote it. So yeah, there's that's throughout, those songs. That's the case.
Yeah. Now, is Emily? Is she a singer?
Emily's
Shucks.
not a well. She sang in high school. She was in musicals and that kind of thing, and so she does
Yeah.
have a lovely voice. But she would say, "No, I'm not a singer." Yeah,
Well, I was gonna say that would be cool to do. Her sing "Fingerprints of God" with you. A
yeah,
new
oh yeah,
version of it.
no, yeah, a
But
little duet. Yeah, she
yeah.
would probably not ever do that, but I'll suggest it.
Uh, now tell us about the song "Speechless." Like what the story behind that, and why did you name your album "Speechless"?
Well, I was sitting with a group of guys at that time. There was a group of three guys that I would meet with, as often as I could when I was on, not on the road or whatever. And I remember I was sitting with them one morning, just talking through different things, and I was just, wrestling through, trying to, as I often do, think, thinking out loud, kind of, word vomiting, as people say on these guys, just like, man, I'm trying to figure out this and that, thinking about that and praying about this, and maybe I should this and maybe that. And it's just a lot of words. And one of the guys who's pretty quiet, real thoughtful guy, when he speaks, he's an old country boy, but when he speaks, he's going to say something you probably want to hear. And he's like, well, Steve, do you ever just stop talking and just listen, just be quiet? And it was kind of one of those, basically, shut up, Chapman, you're wearing us out. But in a more loving way, it was kind of like, maybe you're just trying so hard to figure things out, and put words to it, and maybe God just is saying, just, be still, and and let yourself be amazed at my goodness and my love. Don't try to explain it. Don't try to, because I mean, as a songwriter, I'm like, trying to put words to it and trying to express it. And he said, maybe you just, maybe you need to just, be quiet. And I was sharing that story with my dear friend, Pastor Scotty Smith, who's inspired so many of my songs. Dive was a sermon of his. Um, Great Expectation. I mean, so many of the songs off that record and all of my records have been Scotty sermons set to music. And I remember sitting with him around that same time, and we got to talking about that and just how he's a pastor, I'm a songwriter. We use so many words. And he said, my prayer for my heart and for your heart is, he used the phrase gospel astonishment, that we would be so astonished at just the love of God for us that we wouldn't even attempt to try to explain it or put words to it. We would just receive it. And we would be, you know, in essence, speechless just at the goodness of God. We should be, if we really understand it and can see it. And I just was like, that was kind of like
Mm,
fireworks off in my brain going, that's the song. I need to write that song, because I am not often speechless, but that's the goal. That's the prayer. I use so many words, like I say in the song, words fall like drops of rain. My lips are like clouds. I'm just, raining words and trying to figure you out, God, trying to figure out what you're doing. But, when I look at your grace and I look at what you've done for me, and I just keep returning to that, then I'm where I really need to be. And that's just in a place of amazement Amazing Grace, just being amazed by his grace, and just let that, kind of be my starting place and my ending place, and everything else kind of falls into place. Like C.S. Lewis says, make the first thing, the main thing, and then all the other things kind of fall into place. And so I think that was just such an encouraging, convicting thing for me to hear, that was the song. And then I thought, well, this whole album is that, Be Still and Know, that Be Speechless. And, even Dive was like, just dive into his love for you in a deeper way, keep going deeper and deeper. That's what's going to make you more and more speechless and in awe of him. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a powerful message. I'm still trying to learn it now, 25, 26 years later.
On Speechless is incredible, and I'm excited to hear. You said you have a string people
Yeah.
coming out, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna be
Yeah.
sweet.
I know. I'm
Yeah,
so excited about
yeah,
that.
that's cool. Well, speaking of Dive, it's one of the most iconic songs in Christian music. My daughter made me watch this show on Netflix called A Week Away, and I was
A
like, "Oh
week
my
away.
gosh, they're doing Dive! That's so cool!" They did, a bunch of old school songs. But
Yeah. Yeah.
what stories are you still? And then, like you said, Steven, Dive sounds like it came out 2025. It doesn't sound like it came out in the 90s.
Right.
I mean, it's so
Yeah.
good. And what stories are you still hearing about this song?
Well, I love that one, A Week Away. In fact, A Week Away, that movie has now been turned into a series, and I'm taking my granddaughters. This is crazy. My daughter Emily, that was 11, I'm taking my 11-year-old and 13-year-old granddaughters tonight to see the premiere of the
Oh,
A
cool.
Week Away series that's getting ready to come out. And I actually, if you saw the movie and you noticed the lifeguard in there for just a brief moment in Dive, um, I'm making a little cameo in the series as well, bringing back my lifeguard Steve, they call me.
You gonna be wearing a mullet wig?
I won't be wearing a mullet wig. No, no, not. They couldn't pay me enough for that. It was like they didn't have it in the budget. But the song, it's crazy. That movie has, brought that song back around for so many people. Kids that are singing it and going, and moms start singing along. I've heard these great stories of moms driving along in the minivan, taking the kids to school, and the kids are in the back seat listening to the Week Away soundtrack. I'm diving in, and mom starts singing with them, and they're like, "Mom, how do you know this song? This is a
Yeah.
new song." And they're like, "Oh no, it's not. It's I sang this song when I was a kid." And they're like, "What? No way!" And so I love that. It's one of the cool things about music and about being around for a while. You get to, watch. I mean, I have, you know, two generations, sometimes three generations of people at my concerts, and kids, singing along with Dive and Great Adventure, and some of those songs, which is just a cool, very, very cool blessing.
Yeah, I mean, my daughter, she's 11, and she loves A Week Away. And then, of course, I listen to your music. I have a old school playlist on my Spotify, and Dive comes on. And this was when Week Away came out, and she's like, "Wait a minute, who's that guy singing it?" And I was like, "That's the guy that wrote the song. He's Steven Curtis." And she goes, "No, it's in A Week Away." And I was like, "No, honey,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
is the original guy that wrote it."
He's not doing it right. That's not how that song.
And
That's
it's
funny.
cool. Like these songs come back. Like I think about your buddy Michael, and he did the thing with For King and Country, Place in This World.
Yeah,
I mean, that song's so old, and then
love it.
boom, it's out again.
Yeah,
And
I
so
know.
that's
I
really
know.
cool. Yeah,
Very, very cool. I love it.
yeah. So I love the ending of your album. You got the song With Hope, and then the beautiful instrumental, The Journey, and then Be Still and Know. I don't know if you did it on purpose like that, but those last three songs really end the album with a
Yeah,
strong message. Was that
yeah,
intentional?
yeah, yeah. I mean, there was a day when you know, music was presented in albums. And some people will be saying, I don't know what that means. You can appreciate it and know what I'm talking about, and how I miss those days. And then it's still happening. My sons are working on a new album right now in their band Colony House. But we talk about it a lot. It's like, Dad, people don't really listen to albums anymore. They listen to songs and stream, their favorite songs off of the album or whatever, which, we would skip around on a CD. But on albums, when you made them back in the day, and Speechless was not a vinyl, it was a CD. It might have been on cassette too, probably at that point. You would put it on, and the idea that I loved was taking people on a real journey. and you had up songs, and you thought about the sequence and how it would move someone to put it on and listen to it as a like you would read a book. You don't take chapter 14 and go, hey, I'm just going to go read chapter 14 because I like that chapter. That's the fun chapter. I mean, you can, but you read the whole book and you get an experience that only that, investing that time and energy to take the whole journey can give you. And I always felt that about albums and when I would make them. And how does that album finish? How do you take some time to process what you've heard? If someone did actually sit and listen to the whole thing and invest the time to take the whole journey. And so that's really, yes, that was very intentional. Towards the end of that album, I wanted a piece of music that just gave people a chance to kind of process and ponder what they had heard, and then from that be able to you know
Yeah.
have that final message of just be still and know that he is God. And so yeah, I love how that album ends and just how reflective and just a chance to kind of ponder. So that's, and I'm really excited about getting to kind of do that in the concert, and with the string section, I get to have the
Yeah.
journey played and all of
That's
that,
cool.
which will be very cool.
Yeah. Now, was there any unreleased songs from the album that didn't make the cut?
No, pretty much everything I cut, other than I do remember I actually recorded Speechless a whole different way. I wrote that song and recorded it completely finished, had everything done. I don't think we'd mixed it yet, but we had completely recorded it. And I went in the studio one day and said, I rewrote Speechless last night. I don't think it's right like it is, and actually rewrote it to the way it is now. And that song, I think that track actually ended up on the next album. I did an album called All About Love for Mary Beth, and there's a song on that album called I think it is Holding a Mystery that yeah, words fall like drops of rain, our lips are like clouds. That was the original, melody, uh, and I ended up rewriting the lyric and using
Okay.
kind of that track, but that was the original Speechless, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, will you be recording this as a live album any of the nights on the tour?
Probably so. Talking about it,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're
Yeah,
planning
that's
to
cool.
capture it. Have to.
Yeah, of course. And then are you going to wear the famous turtleneck every night on the show at the shows?
Well, let's just say there is going to be the turtleneck will be making an appearance, and we haven't quite decided yet if it'll be me or everyone on stage, but we'll see. It's one way or another. It is going to have it will have a placement in the night for sure.
Is the
Has to.
original in a Smithsonian somewhere or
Yeah. Sadly, the actual original, I think it's long gone. It's somewhere floating
at a
out there.
Goodwill?
Yeah, it gets at a Goodwill. It ended up in a box somewhere to give away. I never had any idea that it was going to come back around in the way that it would. It was
Yeah.
a joke in the photo shoot. I had this turtleneck that they had put on me, and we're taking pictures, and they're like, hey, is there anything you want to do or whatever? I don't know. At some point, I was just like, hey, wait a minute, this album is Speechless. Let's do this, and I pulled my turtleneck up, like, and they took that picture, and it was a
There you
joke,
go.
and then it comes back and said, I think that's the album cover. I was like, there you go. I'm an art director too. Who knew?
There you go. Oh, that's great. Well, Steven, what you got the Speechless tour coming up? What else do you got coming, and how can our viewers and listeners keep up with you?
Well, I'm the interesting thing on the heels of Speechless, I did a Christmas album, came out in 1995, called The Music of Christmas. It was my first Christmas album. And almost in as iconic as Speechless in terms of just my career, and people that listen to my music would say, oh, that was an album that I've revisited year after year
Yes.
after year. And so we I'm going to get to use the same group of folks, the strings. And I said, hey, if you're available for this, I want to revisit that album
Nice.
live. And so I don't know that I'm going to do the whole album in its entirety as much because I've got other Christmas songs I want to do. But so I'm doing a Music of Christmas tour that'll be happening in Christmas. I'm actually going in the studio today. This is a little scoop. Nobody really knows about this yet, but to re-record "Christmas Is All in the Heart" with CeCe
Oh,
Winans. So we're going to
ooh,
revisit that song after 30 years. So that was 30 years
wow.
ago that album came out. So yeah, so I'm kind of excited about that. That'll be real special.
That song, I mean, I'm sure you hear this a lot, but that was me and my wife. We had a 1-bedroom apartment,
Yeah.
and
Oh man, I love it.
we couldn't afford peanut butter. I mean, it was
Yeah.
rough. It was
I
so rough.
get it. I get it. No.
That's awesome. That's so exciting. Well, Stephen, to wrap up, I'd like to see if you'd be willing to share something that God's been doing in your life recently that would help build our viewers and our listeners' faith.
Yeah. Well, I think this season of life for me has been, my kids are out of the house for the most part. Some of them got one that's come back for a little while for a little season. Showy's back living at home. Stevie Joy's getting ready to head to college. But, Mary Beth and I are, together now, empty nest, which is awesome and scary. And it's a whole different season. Mary Beth and I actually have been working on doing something we've been asked about for years, writing a book about our journey together. And we've always resisted it because we have said it, and we're not joking. It's like we feel like we could write the book on what not to do. Most marriage books are books about, a relationship, or here's how to do it. Here's how how it works. We're like, we just know God's been faithful, and that's somehow through all of our journey of mistakes and, good and bad and ugly and pain and sadness and joy and mountains higher than we ever imagined and valleys deeper. We're still here by God's grace. And it is because he is still here and he is faithful and he has been faithful. And so, we've been writing, trying to share some of that in the pages of a book. But I think, it's really as much as anything at this point in my life, just recognizing, the faithfulness of God, the goodness of God, looking back, seeing the really hard things that you think, gosh, that's still, it's still a mess. I mean, the world is a mess. We look around and think, gosh, this is just crazy. These times are crazy. And yet God is not panicked. God is not freaking out. God's in control. He is, be still. Know that I'm God. I will be exalted. I am on the throne. I'm God. I'm in control with all of the things. And you would think, looking back, I would go, oh yeah, I mean, come on, I'm far enough down the road now. I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to stress. I mean, God has been so faithful. But I can still do that. And I think it's still just, for me, still learning to daily return to that reality and just lift my eyes, like Nebuchadnezzar in the Old Testament. I was crazy. I was insane. I lifted my eyes to heaven and my sanity returned. It's like, if we can just do that constantly throughout the day, every day, our sanity will return as we just fix our eyes on the one who is in control and that he is on the throne, and he is faithful. He is with us and he is for us. So it's really the same message. It's just returning to it over and over again and remembering it again and again.
Yeah, that's good. Have you ever thought about turning your story into a movie?
We have talked about it. Different ones have approached us, and Mary Beth and me, and our journey, and it's been discussed. We don't know. It might maybe at some point it might. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Steven, the Speechless 25th anniversary tour is coming up in just a few weeks. Your website, stevencurtischapman.com. I guess it's the best place to get tickets, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man, for chatting.
Thanks, Jacob. Good to be with you,
Yeah.
brother.